No. Welcome back to Freedom to Run. I'm Coach Kyle of Freedom Running Club, and on this video series, we share, real runners with real stories and have really big goals and everything. And today we are here with Yanet, who began training with us not that long ago in December and had a real serious lower leg injury that basically forced her from running for about a month. Now, just prior to that, Yanet had run at a really big local half marathon that kind of maybe caused some of that injuries, but she was self-trained at this point, pushing too hard and a lot of this, stacking of volume and intensity, which is a lot of the things that we see with busy professionals like Yanet who have these big goals and everything. And the real thing that stood out to us when we first met, Yanet, was that pain, not only in your leg physically, but the frustration of somebody who's so active, who couldn't do what you loved because it was lingering for so much. So started working with you here back in December, and the real big breakthrough that we just recently had was Yanet ran the Gasparilla Distance Classic half marathon at not max effort, at a marathon pace effort at 1 hour and what was it? 1 hour 40, what 30, 1 hour 38, right?
1 hour and 38,
Yeah, and
47
not
seconds.
and not going all out when you had just gone, slower than that, in at the race where you got injured. So a really great test of where your fitness is with this goal of doing the London Marathon, Chicago Marathon later this year, and I know this goal of qualifying for Boston in these races. So I want to talk to everybody here today about Yanet's journey, and Yanet, thank you for joining us here today.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to my coach. I am thrilled and happy to share my story and be here with you guys.
Well, fantastic. So let's kind of start with I guess you could say the bad news, the injury, the pain, and everything that you were dealing with. So, you came to us. You were recommended by someone we had worked with his kid years ago. You guys were in the same running group and everything, and
Yes,
you
yes.
you were you were dealing with a lot of pain, and again, not just the physical, but also the mental side of that. So, how long had you been training, with this pain? How long had this been going on for you?
It's just started for about, I was just training over the pain for about a month or 2 months, actually. And you're like, okay, this is something I can do. I start running, I feel the pain. Let's keep going, let's keep pushing. And then eventually you get warm up. And then at some point after I did the Chicago Marathon, I took a little break and then went back all out pretty much to the Stampede half here in Central Florida. And that's when I realized, oh no, I was in pretty bad shape. Like the day after, I couldn't even walk. That's how bad it was. So, of course, I mean, a little bit of myself. I've been working out for years. You name it. Every year, I put myself on a new goal, a target, something that I want to do, to make life fun. And having this injury out of nowhere, it's like, okay, what's going on? I never been injured in my life. I'm old enough to know where to stop, even though running got me this time. And it was just frustrated. The first thing you do, the first thing an amateur runner does, Google, okay, what's going on? I have a pain right here on my left leg. Um, and then what to do? You isolate it, you put ice, you rest for a little bit, but that doesn't seem to help. And then I seek medical advisor, and finally I was just diagnosed with tibialis posterior tendinopathy or tendonitis. That is just a fancy word for shin splint, but it was really bad. I mean, to the point that I couldn't run. I mean, it might sound for other people, oh, it's just shin splint, and you keep going and you keep pushing. But what happens when you keep pushing and you don't listen to your body? Well, you get sidelined for a month. I was without a month without running, obviously, and very frustrated because it's not that my identity is not only a runner, but it's a huge part of my life. I love being outdoors. I love being active. And the fact that I was never injured, it was just very frustrated in my mind. I just couldn't understand, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Well, you run a lot too fast, too soon, maybe. And that caused, shin splint or whatever we had. Because at this point, it was just like a roller coaster, back and forth, back and forth. So through a common friend, yes, I found you, and I'm very grateful, and I'm very happy I did, because now I feel like I have a structure, I have a plan to follow every day. So I look forward to that.
You know,
Yeah,
and you talked about not just the physical pain, but that emotional pain. It's not your identity, but something you really love to do. But then you had, at
absolutely.
this point, you had already signed up for London and Boston, and the Chicago Marathon you had done, that was a virtual race that you had done in October, right? It wasn't the actual Chicago
No, that was
Marathon.
it was actually half. It was only a half marathon I did on September.
Gotcha.
Chicago. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. But you
Yeah,
know,
and you get all these things. I'm sorry to interrupt. You get all these things on your mind. You start getting frustrated. You know, you're doing a world major in April, which is around the corner, and then you have another world major in October, and you question yourself. I mean, it doesn't only take your mind. Yeah, I consider myself very mindful, strong, that I keep going and going and going. But you have to know if your body's capable to handle the stress for 26.2 miles. So it's a mental battle and a physical battle at the same time. So you have to combine them to be on that sweet spot and actually to be ready to hit the start line. So those are little things that you kind of battle yourself while you're injured and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. Am I, like every runner, am I not going to be able to run? It's London. Okay, that's it. Okay, I walk it. And then you start like negotiating with yourself at some point. So I was really frustrated and actually depressed. I'm not afraid to say that. I was depressed for a couple of weeks because, I mean, like I say, it's not my full identity, but it's a huge part of my mental wealth. And I think all of the running community, I mean, will be agree with me. The running is life. And we need it.
and kind of building on that, when we first sat down and we had our first chat in November, I could see that, it was something that you really wanted to get back to. But what was, I think, really great about when you did join us is you wanted to make sure that you came back when you were ready, right? You realized that you had pushed it too much. You weren't just, Coach Kyle, get me faster now. It was get me out of pain so that we can get faster again. Can you talk about your approach when we first did have that conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you are absolutely right. That is a great question. That was the first thing I told you. I want to be able to run, but I want to be able to finish healthy. I want to be able to cross the finish line saying, oh my gosh, I did it. I feel good. It was a great race. I enjoyed it and I'm pain free. And of course, I understand every healing process, it's not linear. It goes up and down, especially when you're injured, especially when you push it too hard, like I did. I haven't run a full marathon, but I did like three on my own. I mean, within 3 months in between, plus my long runs, plus whatever great miles I was just throwing over there just because I wake up today, let's just run 7 miles. Okay, 7 miles. 8 tomorrow. Okay, 8 tomorrow. 9, 10. And then I just kept going and going and going because my heart and my lung, I mean, they were great. They were ready for more. But of course, my tendons and ligaments were not catching up at the same time with my muscle and everything else. And that's exactly what happens. Yeah, that was my main goal. I wanted to get fast. Obviously, every runner who has goals and targets, yeah, we'll want to eventually run faster. But my first priority when I reach out to you, I want to be able to do this, for the longest time and pain free, pretty much. Yes.
And when you first started to complete these workouts, and I know we chat pretty regularly about, today there was no pain and that type of thing. When that first started to happen, because it wasn't initially, there was still that lingering and everything. But I guess for you, when you started to feel it trending in that right direction of I'm pushing things and the pain, is either manageable or not there at all. How did that just feel to you emotionally now that that pain wasn't, just a constant and stopping you from doing what you wanted to do?
Good question. It's like you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You see there's hope. You say, okay, this is not going to be forever, and then you kind of start seeing cycles. Okay, you get a little pullback, but then you get better and you can push through that pain because it's actually normal and it's part of the process. And I totally understand as we increase the work, as we increase the load. Okay, if you can have your little pullback, but they're way better. They're manageable. So yeah, I can. It's like, okay, I'm gonna be okay. Just be a little patient with yourself. Be yeah, just respect the process. Like I like I've been saying all for 2 3 months. You gotta respect the process. You gotta earn that pace. You gotta earn that start line. Most people forget about that. And I feel like we don't talk about it and we don't say about it because we all have this, oh my gosh, I'm running, I have this ego, my Strava post, blah, 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 blah. Not to be judgmental, but injury is there and it's happening when you're running. It seems really easy. I was one of those. Oh, running is easy. I have done, you name it, CrossFit, all this hard work, all this high intensity training. What run is going to be? It's not going to do anything to me. I've been running forever, mind you. I've been running for years. 3, 4, 5 miles. I mean, that is probably the max. Now, training for a marathon, running long distance, that's another game. And you have to be fully aware of that. And there's steps and there is a process behind. And you have to respect that. And you have to earn that. And I was kind of like, not that I wanted to bypass that, I was just feeling good. Too good that I just kept going and going, and then we already know what happens. But you learn, we all
Yeah,
learn from the mistakes. We learn from that. It was
exactly.
actually at this point of my life, I look back and I say, well, you kind of need it because otherwise you wouldn't stop. And then you would jeopardize everything else that you have, in the future. So, anyways, I'm not an elite. And I want to do this for the longest time. Yes, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to talk about like what your times are, and I guess elite is always like an opinion based thing. I mean, obviously we're looking for a Boston time here for you, which is
Mhm.
pretty elite, obviously. But I want to take you back to you talk about the process. One of the things that we talked about this initially. I believe in very much. We believe here at Freedom Running Club is the aerobic testing, and you said earning the paces, and with that it started with VO2 max test where you came out. We did a mile and a half. We had a bunch of people doing it all that same time. Now remind me, I think it was either 6:41 or 6:39 that your average pace was on that
Yeah, it
first
was
one. I can't
the
remember.
first. Yeah, it was 6:41
6:41.
when
Yep.
after coming my injury and we did that test, which I was really impressed because I was coming like a whole month without training, like no training, and people say, "Well, you don't lose." Well, you kind of do lose a lot of it, but 6:41, it was amazing. I was actually shocked.
Yep, and that was the first one that was a mile and a half for people watching.
Yeah.
And then you came back, it was probably about 6 weeks later,
Yeah.
something like that. And you dropped 20 seconds per mile down to
Yeah.
6:21 in that mile and a half. And obviously it's hard to drop, time per mile in these shorter races. So I guess for you, not only were you surprised by what you were with that first one, but to have that progress, this was before Gasparilla that you did this test. How did that kind of like help you just mentally say, wow, I can measure that progress?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about metrics. And the fact that I was able to, yes, to drop like 20 seconds in less than 4, 6 weeks, that was amazing, taking in consideration. And then you say, okay, it's not too bad. I haven't lost a lot. I can do this. And mind you, I finished that mile and a half with no pain. So then again, I go back to you start seeing the world in a different direction in the running world. And then you say, okay, this is actually doable. Just be patient. Patient is the key here. And for those who are listening, please, if you're new to running, be patient. Be patient because your time will come. And it's just take time and obviously having the right plan and coach, it will help you there. I mean, that is, you can see 20 seconds, it might not look a lot, maybe to a lot of people, but it's actually a lot to me in 4, 6 weeks. So yes, because that can give you a margin of the things that you can do in the future. When you're like completely 100% pain free and then you stick to your plan, eventually those numbers will get much better, much better. Yes.
And one of the big things that I talked to you about after that 6:21, I think I told you, it's like, wow, like we're at the fitness now, the pace wise, that we can go for this Boston time here in London, right? Remember, I talked to you about that. This is now this pace, and it really allowed us to, for the Gasparilla half, which was, about a month or so after that test run, to go for a really, not necessarily, we weren't shooting for a PR, but to really shoot for a great trial run for London. So we said, let's treat this like a marathon pace effort, and then let's see how much we can go on that last 5K for you to be able to run, a half marathon at, substantially under your Boston qualifying time, feeling good about it and everything on probably the hottest day of the year that we've had down here in Tampa.
No
That was
doubt.
not great
No
conditions.
doubt. So far, it was really hot. We are used to the heat, but actually, it's on February still. It's not even spring, and we already hitting like high temperatures. So yes, it was challenging, but amazing.
And for you to be able to do that again, not at max effort, at faster than your Boston qualifying goal time, what did that just say for you to be able to do that healthy and to be able to accomplish that in the way that you did in Gasparilla?
That's a great question. It just gives you confidence that you can actually do it. Because I believe I went a little faster than my marathon pace because the
A little
adrenaline
bit.
and the race you'll get you. So, but the fact that I was able to for that's halfway, and then I did a little push at the end. So that tells me that I'm going into the right direction. It is actually possible, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm not afraid. I'm gonna try, and I'm just not gonna let this pass and my injury to define what is coming in the future. I know that I'm getting stronger every day. I have a plan. I have a structure. I have the mindset. I have the best coach. Honestly, keep me on track. Check on me every day. And that's another thing that I wanted to highlight. A lot of people when they start running, there's a lot of apps and they tell you do this and that. I see it all over social media. Get to someone that actually knows what they're doing, a person that actually cares for you, and that the plan is specifically for you. And there's no app in the world that is going to do that, or AI that is going to do that. Okay, for those who are listening, that's my
I do
advice.
I do appreciate that for sure.
Oh,
And also just
absolutely.
to put that into kind of perspective, I know you ran a little faster than 7:35, but kind of like right around there for your pace for Gasparilla. I know we get a little bit of extra time. It's not, I think it was like 3:35 is your Boston target time, if I remember correctly, or was it 3:30?
Something like that. I'm
I
like,
think it
yeah,
I
I
think
think
it's
so.
I think it may be 3:35, but it might be
It's a fun.
3:30. Either way, for everybody, 7:35, the pace that she ran for that half marathon, again, not going all out, is basically you wouldn't there would it would be pretty much any time, any age group you get in. That basically is the equivalent of 3:18 in terms of a marathon time. And so it really does kind of like speak to how much you've come in terms of that process and setting up for these first two, official marathons you'll be doing and everything at the London Marathon here in about 6 weeks, and then Chicago later this year. I guess just for you, from where it was to where you were, how much better did you just feel about this process? You see what you're going to be building towards here. You can see the pacing. Just what is your outlook on running now that you've got these big races coming up and really feeling confident about them?
You just said it. I just feel more confident about the process and these races coming up. I mean, if I have to use a word, it'll be that one. I have hope. I trust the process and the science behind, because that's another thing I want to mention. Every time I was running faster. Now I have a pace limit. That's how I call it. And it actually works. And it's hard to believe that by running slow on your easy recovery days, or maybe on your long runs, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting my time here. Like, you get bored sometimes, but actually, I am the type of person that when I see something, I execute it, and then I see that it's working. It's kind of like, it's the opposite of faith, to be honest, because you have to believe first, but it's like I have to see the final product working in order for me, like, okay, this is actually working. So yes, there is hope, and I feel confidence that those numbers eventually are going to come in. um, this is not to sound negative. I don't know about London. It's a world mayor. It's a huge race, so it's a little different. I don't know how it's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of things. The jet lag is in another country. I want to put that into perspective, but I am committed to do my best, based on the science and the work that I have done and how I feel right now. Yeah, it's totally doable and totally possible. Yeah, I believe so. I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
Yeah. Yep. I know. So like I said, everything that you've been showing, absolutely, all the confidence in the world in you, Yanet. And as we get into this, we'll check in with Yanet after London and then as we get into Chicago. But I think what it really does say for people watching this, Yanet's story, I think, really is that reminder of to not ignore these things, and to just try to continue to progress through pain. You came from this, you had this lower leg injury that stopped you from running. Now we're rebuilding things intelligently. And like I said, not all out is 1:38 in a half marathon, which, is an amazing, to where you've gotten in terms of everything. So, this transformation that you've had, I've really just loved to see, not only, yeah, slowing you down on those days, but then seeing how much faster you can run on your faster days. And I think it really does speak to everything that we try to do here with our athletes at Freedom Running Club, of empowering runners to safely reach their goals, but also through those customized methods, right? It doesn't look the same for everybody. And we really do appreciate not only your confidence and trust, but also the excitement with the process. And we really do love having you not only on this, but a part of what we're doing here at Freedom Running Club.
Yeah, it's truly an honor, obviously. I mean, my life changed since I found you, and I am very grateful because now I look around it with another perspective. I don't have to wake up and I say, okay, what pace am I going to run today? No, that's not the mentality. You wake up and you say, well, thank you very much. Today I have a recovery run, and I'm going to let my body to recover so I can have a speed workout, or I can have a marathon pace in 2 days the correct way. Yeah, so it's a game changer, and it's totally different. And that's what I mean, I encourage people, like, get yourself, if you really want to do this for the longest time, get yourself somebody that can guide you in the right path and know what they're doing, because we are here in this world and everybody knows their, how do you say this, well, everybody knows their thing. We're all special in so many ways, and everyone is different. And obviously running, I mean, I encourage everybody to running. I love running. For me, I run for my mental health. I run for my happiness. I run for my brain. There's so many reasons. We can be here hours talking about running. I'm pretty sure. Who am I talking? I'm talking to my coach. If you love running and you want to do this for the longest time and eventually and potentially, because we all have different goals and dreams, you don't have to do a Boston, or you don't have to be a Boston qualifier. But if you want to, do your regular local 5Ks, a race, or 10, even 10Ks, get somebody who can guide you through the process, especially not to get injured. And I'm not talking this because I got injured. No, it can happen to anyone. It just can happen to anyone. I just feel like in the past 5, 10 years, the running community is just growing a lot, which is a great thing. It's actually a great thing. I am super happy to see people, put in the work every day. But there's also a lot of misconception around it, and you don't have to look at your, I don't know, your influencer based time. There's a story behind that person, and there's actually a story and work and time that put her or him in that spot. So don't wait for your time. Earn your pace, earn your miles. Your time will come. If you're really serious about it. If you're just somebody that wanted to run for like whatever reason, I mean, there's no judge. Okay, that's fine. But if you're serious and you want to do this for the longest time, you need somebody that can put a plan that actually works for you and it keeps you injury or stress free. For sure. Yeah, that is my personal advice. Especially for the women up there that are midlife, like 40 plus. We're not gonna say ages, but yeah, it is different. Our body change, our hormones. We change a lot. I am not the same person when I was lifting on my 20s, on my 30s, that I am on my 40ish right now. Things change, and you have to be aware of that and accept it. Admit it. Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed the conversation, and we've loved allowing us to be part of your story and your running journey here, Yanet. And like I said, we're gonna check in with you after London here. Let's go out there and get a first official marathon time and get that first star for your Abbott, 6 stars,
Absolutely. I'm
and
looking
let's
forward to the 7.
and let's go get that Boston time too.
We will. I have no doubt.
All right. Thank you so much, Yanet.
Well, thank you so much, Coach. I'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Stay tuned for the next one for London.